to another episode of the Blinkbek, day 25, new month, and I'm still trying to figure out what my decision is going to be. Do I continue? Do I observe? Do I go on that takeaways diet, that food chain takeaways, fast food chain takeaways diet, and gain the kilos so I can redo all of this in dramatic fashion? But I don't know. I'm still deciding. I mean, I had a Halsa hangover from the carbs. I mentioned that on my status, and yeah, I don't know if I want to go through that, to be honest. One thing I have noticed with carbs, especially in the hotter months, is I get sweaty, I get hot. Um, it could be considered a sign that my metabolism is working, I suppose. I mean, I could look at it like that. I suppose if I want to, you could literally justify anything in life. So, I don't know. I have no problem continuing the way I have been continuing. Got beef, eggs, cheese. That's literally all I need. Maybe some avo. I didn't really get avo. Feta cheese, cheddar cheese, parmesan, cream cheese, all full fat, at least medium fat, and then some full fat yogurt, some full fat cream, some full fat milk, and yeah, I'm freezing all of that. Pour the milk out into 250 ml portions and freeze it. Defrost perfectly fine. I don't want to try and have milk every day, but if there is something or somewhere where I maybe fall short, I can take it out, defrost it, chill it down, drink it. Same with cheese. Grate it, freeze it. Cream cheese can probably freeze it in the container it came in. If it's one of those flimsy plastic containers, I'll dish it out into an HDPE container and put that in the freezer. Been testing things like frozen mushrooms, peppers, onion, just to kind of make it, easier to cook. 'Cause that's the one thing with banting or keto. I mean, those are the only ones I've played with. I see everyone going on this carnivore and this lion diet, as I mentioned. But, the preparation in banting is insane. The amount of time you spend trying to sort of prepare the food, to cook the food, before you even get to enjoy the food. That's probably the biggest thing, the biggest time consuming thing. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I said last week I don't foresee me losing much more weight at this stage because I'm sort of half into an observation month, fooling about with carbs here, having a carb day there. Not truly and really into it on a sort of a seriousness level 10, for instance. But I proved my point. I mean, 6 kilos in the first 2 weeks. My face was a lot less swollen. I was a lot less swollen. My skin was snapping back. It was hydrated, even though I probably lost a lot of stored water. Yeah, but lost about a size, if not more. I can fit into my KZN Club Drags sweater from 2023, which I got and never tried on. So the double XL, I'm usually a triple XL. So I'm down to a double XL, if not an XL now. Tried on some 38 jeans that I haven't been able to wear for 2 years. Fits snugly. Not snugly, it's loose, but it's comfortable. and what was I? 42. I mean, the last time I did banting was sort of 2022, 23. But the last month of last year, I thought to myself, I'm gonna try and add some kilos. So that's positive. I mean, the weight isn't necessarily the concern. If you're losing a pant size or a dress size or a t-shirt size or a shirt size, that's significant. If you can start to see your neck, you don't have a double and triple chin, that's significant. If you pinch your skin and it snaps back instantly, you know, that's good. You may not see insane muscle because you need to build muscle. I've seen a lot of people and spoken to a lot of people in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and they're still making mistakes. So they are making mistakes rather, and they shouldn't be. They're banting, but they're cooking with sunflower oil, cooking with canola oil, with palm oil, with, you know, peanut oils because peanuts are nuts and they're healthy. And I'm like, yeah, not necessarily. If something is a solid and they have to process it to get it to a liquid and stays a liquid, that's not what you want. I mean, in essence, what I do is I just try and cut out everything that's processed. So there's many ways you can attack this. Some of you can go cold turkey. I won't really consider this attempt as cold turkey, but done it before. Some of you can start trimming down a few things. Some able to cut out a few things. So, no potato or less potato or no cool drinks, fizzy drinks, and no sugar in your tea or coffee or less sugar. All those things can work and they'll show signs of improvement. You need to come to the realization yourself and say, hey, you know what? I wonder what my results would be like if I actually take more of this out, the bad stuff. And it's hard to figure out what that is because if I must look at the lists from when I tried this in 2017 and when we did this again in 2021, 22, and now the lists are significantly different. Things that were acceptable are now on the tread with caution list. And I'm going at it from a different angle where I may move towards this carnivore / lion diet of Michaela Peterson's. And it's interesting because I've made that statement in the past before. I think 2017, where I said, you don't see a lion eating a masala steak Gatsby. He'll eat meat. He's a carnivore. And if I look at this diet that Michaela Peterson has and, her concept of why she came up with it, it's like, we connected even though we're on different continents. And it was a joke to me. I used the analogy in the last of the previous show, episode 2 or 3, where I said that, a steam locomotive runs on energy, it runs on heat, it runs on a fire. So, you boil water, that steam starts to turn these mechanisms which causes the locomotive to move. And your body's like that. I made that statement. And I've tried to use that to try and convey it to people over the years to say, if you're making a fire and you want to braai, eventually you want the fire to go out and you want it to be cold so that you can cook your food. But if you're making a fire for the sake of a fire, if you don't keep giving it fuel, and that could be wood, it could be plastic, it could be tires, it could be anything that's flammable, anything that can combust at some point, then, your fire is going to go out. So do you want coals or do you want a fire? And that's your metabolism. Your metabolism is the fire. And the quicker and the faster you make your metabolism, the more you're going to have to eat, really, but the more calories you are going to need. So that's where people end up getting confused and kind of messing it up, even though they're not on the banting diet. oh, I need to eat healthy. So they cut out calories and they starve their body, and then they see some results because they've starved themselves. So they lose muscle, tissue, bone density, and water. And then they start to look emaciated. Even some of these guys on the carnivore and um, lion diet and keto and whatever, some of them, like, "Yeah, bro, I don't think this is working for you because you're starting to look dead. Your eyes are sunken, your cheeks are sunken. You know, that's the one thing that I can say people have noticed is that I love food. I'll say it again, and I'll probably say it every single time. There is no way I'm going to starve myself for the sake of a diet. And I mean, a diet is essentially your eating routine. So I love meat. I love pasta and pizza. It's probably my most favorite foods. And to give that up must mean that there's, a better way with this. Someone, I think Michaela Peterson, and I don't mean to use her as an example, but she's made this statement. I don't know who's made it before, that, you know, feeling better is a lot more of the reward. And that's not exactly the word she used, than, you know, eating what you enjoy. So she's got the statement. I don't know, you guys can go and Google her and search and see what it is she says. I'll post it in the comments if I can remember it. I don't really take note of these things. But what's significant for me is the fact that her case is very different. She's got an autoimmune disorder. So she's sickly, for lack of a better word. How many people there are out there? In 8 billion around the world is probably a lot. How many in South Africa? I don't know. There are a lot of people who have contacted me with somewhat irreversible conditions, like cancer and so forth, and I've said outright I'm not a qualified nutritionist, dietitian, doctor. So speak to your physician. I'm just saying this works for me, and it could work for a lot of people depending on the condition within their bodies. If you eat and eat and eat and you can't stop eating, and you try this way and it works for you, then your body's been bamboozled by all the poisons you've been eating. Sugar's addictive. Someone said sugar is worse than cocaine to try and get off it. I mean, what is the appeal? A lot of people are like, no, they're on this banting, they only use this and that sauce now. And I mean, you're not banting. You're still using a sauce that's probably got some kind of sugar in it. I mean, sugar is what? Sucrose and glucose. Our body uses glucose. And there's another one that's similar. Don't know if it's fructose or whatever it is. Some ose. So the body uses that for energy. But whatever's excess and whatever triggers the body is going to get stored. And people wonder why they get fat. You're eating sugar, your body converts that, stores it, and you eat fat with that, your body goes, hey, more stuff to store. You're not going to burn that fat unless you cut out the sugar and the glucose. And people just term it carbohydrates, the grains, the breads. And I mean, they're all grains. Rice is a grain, flour is a grain, wheat grain, flour is made from that. And that leads to other things like pastas and pizza bases, dough, cakes. And that's the one thing that annoyed me about the banting diet, is that it's become so popularized that people, want to simulate things. So, they don't want to give up their treats, so they make healthier options of their treats. But how healthy is healthier? I mean, if I want to substitute rice with cauliflower rice, that's a bit ridiculous to me. I've done it. And I stand there going, the whole point is to not eat these things. So by having a replacement, you're still telling your brain, okay, there's a chance. You're still giving in because you can't get over that true banting thing. People, Oh, we mustn't eat bread, so we'll eat banting bread. We'll make peanut butter bread, cauliflower bread, cabbage bread, whatever bread. Or we'll get, low GI wraps. I've been sitting on that and saying, I need to get a wrap to wipe this sauce out. I'm not going to lose this fat. Throw it down the drain and whatever the case may be. But, you know, what would you need for that? I can't reach. I mean, the containers I can lick out, I will lick the hell out. I'll lick my plate clean. In public, I may not do that. I'll maybe take a small bread roll and sop up all the gravy. But why substitute it with special bread, low carb bread? It's gonna cost insane amounts of money, and that's where this banting is perceived to be an expensive thing. I mean, it is expensive. You're using high quality ingredients. You're using butter, not this margarine crap. You're using steak mince, lean mince, not this ground beef crap. That's literally what it is, not this processed meats crap. I mean, I don't know the structure of grocery stores. Someone made a comment that everything in the middle you must ignore. And you just shop on the sides, the veg and fruit aisle, and that's about it. And the proteins, the frozen aisle, that's about it. But, it's deeper than that. I kind of tried to break it down before, and I said, what, if it looks like a piece of chicken, eat it. Chicken Vienna is not a piece of chicken. Even if it says it's made from, breast meat. I mean, I don't know how bad we are here in South Africa or the organizations that manufacture our food, and I'm sure they are as bad as international standards. Because someone said earlier, they actually, when they have modified cheese and things like that, they use the leftovers from paper and they grind it up and it forms part of it. I'm sitting there going, okay, I don't know if I need to believe this. But the bottom line is it just cements the fact that I'll stick to full fat things. Eventually, maybe, and hopefully get off the cheese. Or, if I have the time, eventually maybe start making my own cheese. I don't know. But in essence, in banting, you want to have animal fats. You want to have meat. And you are limited to the kinds of vegetables you can have and fruits. I mean, some fruits people consider vegetables, etc. And there are lists. But from the beginning, I've said to myself, what? If I look at it and I say, well, bacon is cured, it's processed to get to that state. I don't know how they've done that, what they've used, what curing salts they've put in, and all these things. So if I have it, I end up getting gout. So eventually I was like, well, I'm not going to bother having this. I mean, I love pork. I love bacon. This is not a halal, unhalal show. This is about nutrition. It's not a show that is going to be specific to a culture or creed or a religious belief. This is about nutrition and it's about survival. And I've said before, all I need to survive is air, water, and food. And it's really that simple. So how simpler can you get than what people are doing with this lion diet, water, salt, and meat? Okay, I see that. I don't know if I can go that extreme, but we'll see, because I've noticed the most recent development is I'm still getting the pains if I have vegetables. Now there's a new thing that's come up again of oxalates. And the oxalates in vegetables like spinach is super high, but then on the list, spinach is acceptable. I think maybe open that list. Spinach is an acceptable thing. An acceptable thing to eat. It listed here somewhere. I downloaded it the other day for someone. There we go. So I mean, right there on the list, the green list, spinach. And I mean, there was something that's not on this list, which is in the book, The Real Meal Revolution. But there are these nightshade items. And, I don't know what the P stands for. I'll try and figure it out from the list. And I'm sure there's a legend here somewhere. I don't know why it's not here. But either way, Spinach on the green list, highest for oxalates. And I used to have that experience. I have spinach, green spinach with mushrooms and full cream beef fat sauteed with chili. Sounds great, is great. I feel like crap the next day. My joints hurt, it feels like I've got gout. Unsure if it is gout, take gout tablets, pain gone. More confused. You know, onions, same thing. Radishes, rocket, sugar snaps, watercress, cauliflower, cabbage, the biggest culprits. Brussels sprouts, which is like a baby cabbage. Avocado, aubergine. Aubergine's a nightshade item, like chili. Celery, bean sprouts, beans. Um, all these things are on the green list, but all these things have been giving me issues. So now I'm also wondering, do I just go outright carnivore, outright lion type diet? See, because on the day I went and bought a few cuts of meat, and I bought fatty short rib, meaty short rib, um, a brisket fillet. Where I asked them to separate the fat from the meat, so I paid just for the meat, paid less for the fat. I had them grounded up, and try to see how that went for a day, and it worked tremendously. But trying to get the time frames right is a bit of a challenge. So I messed that up. The longest I fasted, I think, was almost 23 hours. One stint was about 19 or so hours, but I was completely messed up after that. So, it's possible, but I wouldn't recommend it, because if you get it wrong, then you are in an even worse situation. Your body goes into a ketoacidosis state, and that could be dangerous. Fasting is great, but I prefer to just keep it simple. If I'm hungry, eat. If I'm feeling peckish and I'm going somewhere, then eat so I don't get hungry. And if I'm not hungry, then stop eating. And that's one thing that you need to sort out with your physician and confirm, that your systems are functioning correctly, because that could be one of the big things, that your systems are out of whack. So you go on this thinking, oh, it's going to do good for me, and then it doesn't, because you can't stop eating, and then you start getting fat, and you start building up cholesterol again, and all these things, because your enzymes are completely a mess. All these things it just appeared to be easy for me. The only issue I have is gout. And if I look at it, like yesterday, I had cabbage. Or the day before, I had cabbage Wednesday. Cabbage, chicken, and full fat cheese with onions that braised in beef fat. Thursday morning, I was like, I am getting gout. No, can't be. Oh, maybe. But I had the pain the Wednesday night. And eventually, yesterday, I was like, I'm going to get some gout tablets. Pain is gone. So now if I look at it, cabbage, like I just said, is on that list. But it seems to be a problem. So, people with autoimmune diseases are going on this thing, and they're raving about it. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I could do that and then introduce food slowly and see what works and what doesn't work, and formulate a diet that works for me. And that's something you need to do for you. One stage where I was doing this with just the eating over that 4 or 5 month period, where I lost the same amount of weight as the intense exercise and diet, was where I eventually said, what, I'm seeing these results, but what if I actually just truly not give in to the desire to have a chip roll or a Gatsby or a bowl of acne? My results will be better. And they were. This whole month now, it's like 3 kilos the first week, but I had acne. Then I still lost 3 kilos the next week, and to celebrate, I had acne. And when I looked at how I felt after the acne, even though it was damn good acne, and the way the guy makes it is, you know, it's animal fat. It's the beef fat that he cooks out and then he braises everything and puts his spices and whatever the case may be. But the grains in there, the rice grain, is the downfall. So I joked I was going to make a nixney, you know, acne minus the rice and the potato. And I did to some degree. And worked as an idea. And I'm thinking to myself now, okay, now I could take this and have it with these low carb wraps. Essentially, it's, curry and roti. Or I just make my own roti, Take the flour, have a cheat day, take the ingredient, add it to another known ingredient, butter, add salt, add warm water, make a dough, make my own roti, knowing where it came from and what has been put into it. Instead of just buying this titties, rotis, and dough balls, and you don't know what went in there. Yeah, no, it's butter. I mean, I had someone on WhatsApp selling fake butter, and I asked them, is this butter? Or what is this, like buttro? Yeah, no, it's butter. It's X amount of this and a other huge percentage of absolute crap. And I'm sitting there going, but you're selling it at the same amount, same price as butter. And that's the world out there. We're being duped by our very own people. Either they are ignorant or it's intentional. But, know where your food comes. And it's time consuming. That's why I said it's something you need to really invest time in and set aside things and lay it out. I mean, I'm very different. I'll go, I'm hungry. Let me just heat up some beef fat, add some cheese to that, and eat that. Or I'll make a gravy with onions and just freeze that, and I'll dish out a spoon or two with fat, and I'll eat that. I could care less. I see past food now. I see calories. It's like the matrix is what I see in front of me when I see food now. And it's been like that since 2017. I don't just look at it and I don't count calories. I don't weigh food. I'll do it for shits and giggles. So, well, here's 450 grams of beef ragu. Let's see if I can finish it. And I can't. I literally can't. The same guy that you can give a fish and chips parcel from Rainbow Fisheries to and clap. Same guy you can give a Gatsby to and have him clap. I can't finish a little 450 gram of beef mince with fat and cheese. So I'm just happy that my body is functioning correctly. So now do I, go a little bit more extreme and try this lion diet concept of just beef, salt, and water. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But I suppose I could do it. I don't see the problem with doing it. So, yeah. I mean, these last 20 some odd days, less than, from the 7th of October, I think, till 25th, till yesterday, 25 days, yeah. I can't say it was a negative at all. I can't pinpoint a problem with it. My only problem was I feel for acne, so I was like, well, I'm going to damn have the acne. I'm not going to miss out. And is that me having FOMO? Is that me saying, well, I know it's good quality food. The rice is rice. That's already wrong. Potato's potato. It is what it is. And I specifically asked the guy, can you give me, nice meat? And he gives me the fatty meat. He gives me the bones. I am happy as if. I think my stomach is agreeing. But I know my results will be so much more dramatic without that. But with the cheats, I finished a fish and chips parcel a week ago, 2 weeks ago. With the cheats, I've lost the size. I've lost 4 pan sizes. 4 inches, the 42 to a 38. I don't know if that's 4 or 2 sizes, but it's significant. Can I get down to 80 kilos, which is what I'm supposed to weigh? I don't know if that's going to be possible because I've always been big. I've always been muscular in a sense. Not ripped as if, but just by eating these 25 days, I can see that with the little muscle I have, because I haven't been training for years, I can see the veins on my hands and arms, my forearms, my upper arms. I can see with last week introducing some light walking, I can see the muscle development in my legs. And in case you didn't know, all you really need to do is walk. If your legs are conditioned, if your legs are healthy and capable, you will live longer, they say. We'll put that to the test. Let's see if I can live to 88. Just doing squats is enough of an exercise. I haven't even bothered with resistance training or some kind of isometric, isotonic. I mustn't confuse those terms. It's isometric, isotonic. But I haven't bothered with resistance training. Just aerobic exercise. Just light walks. But I've seen the improvement in my times because I usually walk 5 kilometers an hour. And I mentioned a few weeks ago I was blown out of the water by a speed walker. And I was like, shit, I'm impressed the fact that I went from 3.14 kilometers an hour to 5 point something, and this person just blows past me like nothing. But the body makeups are different because, as I said, you got ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph. They an ectomorph. I'm a mesomorph, probably an endomorph. We will see. I'm not built for that kind of thing. I'm built to be a prop. I'm built to be someone that's going to be a brick wall. 3 stumps for legs. That's how I'm built. I'm not built for long distance running or sprinting. I'm no Usain Bolt. But I could condition myself to almost achieve that level with muscular conditioning. And that'll obviously in turn increase my metabolism, and that will require more calories. And now we enter this situation where we've got to look at how the fat comes into it. And now we've got to say, well, that whole gram of carbs, gram of protein is 4 calories, gram of fat is 9 calories situation. Try and work it out. And if I look back at this 25 days, October, 2/3 of October, and I look at how much I've had to eat, and I've posted it in my status here and there. There's nothing to hide. How much I've had to eat when it's, a mix of carbs, protein, and fat. A fish and chips parcel. It's deep fried in palm oil. So there's your fat. Hake and snoek isn't exactly fatty. I suppose hake is slightly fattier, but, it's got the batter. So you've got starch in the chips. You've got the flour in the batter. Don't know if they use egg in that batter or if it's just water and flour. You've got the protein in the fish. If you had the egg batter, like I think Plumstead Fisheries, then you've got, increased protein. Great, you've got your calories, but it's poorly made up and proportionalized. So you have to eat a lot more to get the same effects. I mean, you have to eat 2 grams of carbs and you don't even reach the same calorie output of 1 gram of fat. So if I eat 100 grams of fat, that's 900 calories. I'd have to eat 200 grams. 100 grams of carbs and 100 grams of protein, fish and chips, to get a similar calorific count. I mean, 100 grams of fat is a lot because by volume, it's 4 times as much. Fat by volume weighs nothing. So 100 grams of fat is going to look 4 times bigger than carbs or protein, equivalent to 100 grams by weight. And yet there is more energy in fat. But this is where people get confused. They still go, oh, I'll just have more sunflower oil, more canola oil, more margarine, flora, all this cuck. It's healthy fats. It's omega-6 and omega-3, and it's plant-based crap. Well, what are we, bokkies? Elephants eat plants. Carnivorous animals don't need to be small. They can be big like elephants. They can be small like a springbok. And an elephant can stand up for itself to some degree. It is part of the big five, I suppose. But nothing compares to the apex predators who are carnivorous. Leopards, cheetahs, lions. So I can understand to some degree this whole lion diet thing. And, I'm not really interested in who made the statement first, but the fact is a fact. You don't see a lion having a chip roll. Don't see a lion having a full house masala steak Gatsby. And I'm not knocking those things. I mean, I didn't gain much weight eating that way. But it's more real a food than a McDonald's Big Mac. There I said it. So what? It's more real a food than some processed crap that you're going to find at a food chain. So now you can say, okay, well, Nando's isn't as bad. It's a whole chicken, but it's full of basting sauce, which is probably loaded with sugar. Or it's loaded with some E150, whatever. I mean, someone tried to argue with me the other day, and I said, I'm not going to bother arguing with you. I don't care the process. But that is what's added to the food to make it look like this. That is already the problem. If you look at the ingredients and you start to see E this, E120 that, 106 this, put it down. I mean, I get it and I agree. There's not a single food today that is probably good for you, ultimately good for you. I mean, cows are being fed, we don't know what. We don't know what they're injected with to keep them healthy and living longer so the meat can mature. We don't know any of those things. There's genetically modified vegetables. There are vegetables that probably didn't even exist that comes from one source. Like the mustard seed plant is a good example, Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, all these things. These were all cultivated. When we moved from being hunter-gatherers to, farmers. We started cultivating things, domesticating animals, herding animals. We knew we eat beef, we ate meat, so we're going to round up all the cows or the ox or whatever the heck they were, and we're going to start, farming with them. Pigs and sheep and goats and all of these things that we can eat. I mean, I'm not necessarily one for gamey meat. I suppose the gamiest I'll go is sheep, mutton. Because a lot of people, oh, that's so gamey. I was like, well, I just taste gloriousness. So I'm not complaining about that. But I just find that beef is something that just appears to have a complete branch chain amino acid profile. I can eat that and I'm full. I'll have to eat probably 3 or 4 times the amount of chicken and I'll be hungry later on. And lamb is the same. It's red meat, but it's fatty. Yes, it's great for making oil to use to cook. I mean, one time I fried bacon in lamb fat, and I fried beef meatballs and burgers in lamb fat. Talk about, a symphony of fat. I had all the fats covered. So, you can make delicious things. I can probably make you a masala steak wrap, then you will lose your mind. And I'll even put chips on there. I'll fry some chips on there and put it on there. And there'll be so much flavor you will lose your mind, because we don't have food with flavor anymore. We've got sauces for that. So there's a sauce for everything. Of course, a soap nut, but it's full of kak. So, then it's just one of those things. I mean, I'm still trying to figure out. I'm probably going to stick on this, try and cut out more vegetables, try and get down to just beef, and maybe just one day go, tomorrow I'm just gonna have beef, salt, and water and see what happens. The short ribs, a nice fatty short ribs, just that, braised in its own fat or beef fat that's been rendered with onion, salt, and pepper. There is nothing more that you need. The people chase sugar. And as I've said, they've got you hooked. And you need to come to the realization that you are in a cycle or in a trap. Nothing that I say is going to help. And I don't believe in that. Me saying something and you believing it. You have to go and find out for yourself and find something that works for you. If you want to live a long and healthy life, find something that will facilitate that. Don't just believe what I say and, oh yeah, I'm doing this. It's insane how it's working. Some people said that in the last few years. See for yourself what works. I know the secret, but it could just apply to me. And I'm happy to share that secret with you. And it's quite simple. Like I said, if it looks like a piece of beef, eat it. If it looks like, a piece of chicken, eat it. If it looks like a piece of lamb, eat it. If it looks like a piece of pork and you eat pork, eat it. I've discovered a few things now about, histamines in meats. And pork apparently has a high amount of that. Lamb less so. Beef the least of. And I'm someone that used to suffer September, October with sinus. I've not had that problem at all this year. September already I started cutting out unnecessary crap. It's like I'm just meat, veggies, and I'll have a rice because it was, it's a grain, yes, but it's not processed down to a flour. So I wasn't making stuff with rice flour. I had a colleague who had endless undiagnosed problems, eventually passed away. But he's not going to have normal noodles, he's going to have rice noodles because he can tolerate that. And I'm thinking, well, they're both grains. They're both made from grains. Rice is ground down to flour, wheat is ground down to flour, so it's the gluten that's an issue. But ultimately, I'm very sure if he was Banting, he would probably still be alive today. It's a bold statement to make. But if I must look at what we ate, as colleagues, I was just eating a different variant of what he was eating. We were eating the same stuff. Sugar-laden sauces, Asian sauces, chicken chow mein, but he had it with rice noodle. But this lady makes it with the same stuff, peanut oils, allergens like that, soya, all this crap. I'm confident that if he went on just the Banting diet, he would still be here. I can say, having woken up so many mornings with pains, and I love every day. You can't tell me anything about having a bad day. I'll joke, today's a bad day, but I really don't care because I know tomorrow will be a new day. But eating this way, the pains, it's gone. That cabbage. And it could have been, me trying to speed walk and possibly just kinking a joint. I don't know. It could be the specific fat that I had was, I need to go and defrost some beef ragu because I had tuna melts today and it clearly has done nothing to keep me full because my stomach is complaining here. Beef ragu and cheese. That beef ragu could be the culprit as well because there was minced fat, yellow fat, and that's organ fat. It's around the organs, the visceral fat. I need to maybe focus on getting the subcutaneous fat, which is the fat around the limbs of the cow. The white fat. But yellow fat is full of beta carotene. What vegans will tell you, no, you get that in carrots. But in carrots, it's not the proper beta carotene. And you could actually kill yourself. Excess of that. So I get my beta carotene from meat fat. But now the downfall is there's a possibility that that's higher in purines, which is what causes gout. Now this is all that I've experienced and learned because, I got sent to a rheumatologist. I'm going to be blunt here. This ouke is obese, fat as F. But he's telling me I need to change my diet. And I'm sitting there going, guy, you are 3 times my size. Oh, but it's fine because he's on medication. Medication he wanted to put me on, as I've said, will potentially cause you to bleed out of your skin, out of the pores. And I'm sitting looking at him and I'm like, thanks, but no thanks. I'll rather figure out what is causing the gout. And even he didn't tell me. Food's high in purines. There's purines in everything. There's purines in absolutely everything. But it's the amount that you consume that can lead to all these issues. And now I said, there's a new thing now with oxalates, and it can form crystals in your joints. And I'm thinking, well, all the gout medication is doing is breaking down crystals. But it could very well be that it's not even purine crystals. Because I've lent myself to tests, and I've gone for tests, and the doctors all say, "I know this should be high." I'm in the height of gout, and the blood comes back, and they're like, "Yes, your levels are then normal." And I was like, "Well, then that kind of blows that out of the water." I call bullshit. And on that level, I can relate to this Michaela Peterson and say, "Well, the doctors are a complete f up," which, bless their souls, some of them mean good, but their execution is cuck. So am I saying don't go to your doctor? No, go and speak to them. They are the professionals. Again, we've covered that term this morning where I said that just means they get paid to do it. Doesn't mean they're good at it. Let's be fair. But, start there. There are certain tests that can help you. Like I said, an enzyme imbalance in your body can cause you to overeat. Could have been triggered by all the crap you eat, and then you resort to industry drugs to fix you or to mask the issue. I mean, like Panado. All it does is just heighten your pain threshold. It doesn't kill the pain. If your pain threshold is 1, it just makes your pain threshold 7. So now you're like, oh, yeah, that really worked. No, your pain is still there. You just don't know it's there. You're numbing yourself. So, I mean, the amount of things I can smell and taste by having this proper palate cleanse, as I understand it, is insane. I don't know if any or many of you have or will be trying it. I mean, I've had people send me recipes of what they've tried, and I've asked them, things like, is that ground beef or lean mince? They don't know. I was like, well, the ground beef, just cheaper, it's most likely going to be crap. Cereals and soya, so you know better off than where you were, which is exactly the thing that people do incorrectly. I mean, like I said, I've had people have a conversation with me, no, I don't drink this beer now, I only drink that beer. I was like, you're still drinking beer. It's processed, it's made from grains. And that leads me to my point about waking up this morning feeling like I drank a whole bottle of gin. I mean, alcohols are made from carbohydrates. I'm sure they can make alcohol from beef, but alcohol is generally made from carbohydrates. Potatoes, vodka. Sugar, vodka. Cane, rice, wine, vinegar. Rice, wine. Vinegar made from grapes. These are all carbs. That's making stuff that can potentially have ethyl alcohol. Probably the only alcohol we can consume. We can't consume, well, not probably, is the only. We can't consume methanol. Can't consume F-gas, even though I have had that happen to me, and that might be the reason why half of my stomach is a bit of an issue. But all those things are used to make alcohols. So it's like weird. I mean, I noticed that a few years ago. I'd have carbs, I'd wake up in the morning feeling like I drank. And I came to that realization, and I was like, okay, no. I'm going to cut the carbs out entirely. Even the butternuts, even those things. I mean, you get butternut beer, you get pumpkin beer, you get banana beer, you get all this crap, pineapple beer. And I've never really been one for fruits. I'll have a strawberry here and there and blueberries, and I was convinced to have it with low carb granola and seeds, toasted seeds and nuts with yogurt. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, I'm not that weak of mind that I need to have these things. I could probably just get away with beef, salt and water. I have discovered that eggs regulate my blood sugar. That's what it does. So, where I would be told, don't have more than 2 eggs a week, I'm having like 6 a day. The other day I had like 10. I'm standing there going, Vasila, Vasila, my blood pressure is 120 over 80. My blood pressure always used to be 140 over 110. Eventually that became the standard, the norm. It was now no longer high blood. It was considered normal for a demographic or for a creed and culture to have high blood. That was that rate, and it was just normal blood pressure. It's down to 120 over 80. So, I'm not going to say this is a miracle diet, like everyone's been saying. I'm going to say find what works for you. Keep it simple. Again, if it looks like chicken, eat it. If you eat it into duck and turkey, eat it. The carnivore diet is like high protein from what I can see. I'm not exercising and doing weightlifting or resistance training, so I don't think I need to saturate myself with proteins and some form of a carbohydrate to deliver that to the muscle. There's carbohydrates in everything. In everything. So for me, I'm happy to stick on, well, I need 2,500 to 3,500 calories a day. I could have 300 grams of fat, sorted. I'll drink that fat. I've done that before. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Drink some beef fat. Happy. I could have it in a gravy. I could have it more palatable and pour it as a gravy over a piece of meat. Add some cucumber for crunch. Add some cheese for some other texture, and make up the calories like that throughout the day. I haven't yet gone, and I suppose inadvertently I have, but I haven't intentionally gone and said, okay, I'm having 3,000 calories now. Poof. Let me see if I eat again tomorrow. It's almost got in there. I mean, like I said, nearly 23 hours the other day. But it was an absolute mess. So it is possible. Would you want to do it? I don't know. I've spoken to a lot of guys in the last few weeks, a lot of people, and they've all got their opinions, and I value it, I respect it, and it doesn't work for me. I'll try it, but I'm not into these gimmicks. People want to have these, do this instead of that, and try this, and oh, this sauce is. The point is, it's all processed, it's man-made, and as far as I'm concerned, my idea is to get away from that. If you're from my generation, you think of that cartoon Heidi and Peter, where they walked around with bread and cheese and milk. That's how my grandparents ate. My granny would bake bread. They would buy full fat cheese. There was no 2% and low fat. They bought milk and cheese. They had meat. The meat, the beef fat, they would put in the fridge. My grandfather would spread that on the bread that my granny baked. And yes, there are genetic issues and flaws and nuances that could alter your ability to do these kinds of things. I can't now find this note that was sent to me, so I'm not even going to bother with it. But that's why I say go to your physician. See the state you are in. Make a change and monitor that and see how it goes. I don't have the time to pussyfoot about this. I'm doing this. And everyone looked at me like, holy crap. 7th of September. I can remember that date. I'm very sure that's the date. I just said, well, I'm just doing this. I'm tired of the crap. Poof, there we go. And I must go and check pics and the timeline. I'm pretty sure it's that. 7th September 2021. And the results were insane. October, November, December, it was like, geesh, what are we going to do December? Because, it's Christmas. I'm not going to hide and shy away from that. Yeah, please, I'll have the trifle. I'll have the Sunday lunch. And I felt like crap afterwards. But, it is what it is. I know the secret. So, now I know what that does to me. It's clearly not good. I mean, what do you have? Jelly. Is that natural? No. Peaches, are those natural? Maybe, but in a can, no. Walnuts, are they natural? To some degree, but they've been cultivated. So you can sort of understand why people go this carnivore route. It's simple. It's single ingredients, it's whole ingredients. And if you want to process it from there, at least you know it's by your hand. I mean, I could probably make you a polony that's ground from just pure meat and some flavoring that's acceptable, and there you go. But you need to eat it or portion it and freeze it because it's not going to survive. It's going to start to rot. And that's one of the other keys to note. Food that rots, that's the food you want to eat. Not when it's rotten, but, you know, food that doesn't rot, that has a shelf life, you'd want to stay away from. That's the way I approach it. I mean, that's, hard for a lot of people to do. People want to have pizzas with a special pizza base that's low carb. I wouldn't even bother. I would make the dough myself, because dough is just flour, water, and salt. Right? Unleavened bread. Or if you're going to throw yeast in there, they make beer with yeast. They could make beer from flour. So now you've got to consider, how are you going to play this? Are you going to suffer that day for that pleasure? And you may want to, because it's been proven that carbs make you happy. So if you crave that pizza and pasta, make the pasta yourself. Egg, flour. I mean, if you go and look at a pasta that you buy at the shelf, I mentioned this in one of the other episodes. It's flour and something E1, whatever colorant. And that's probably the colorant to give the flour the look of egg-based pasta. So, I mean, you could make it yourself. Maybe you can freeze it. I don't know. I've never tried to. I've never been interested in trying that under banting, because banting was just don't have flour, grains, rice, potatoes, breads, those kinds of things, pastries. I'm keen to see, because there's so many things I want to do. Food reviews and things like that. I'm not going to be doing banting food reviews. I'm going to chow like the rest of you. But I'll document it and see how it affects me. So maybe this more and more is going towards the lion diet, or, maybe my own kind of variation of that. We'll see. Lions don't eat salt, as was said. But, I'm not a lion. But what did my ancestors eat? We ate, we hunted animal, and we ate it raw, most probably. And then over time, we were like, hey, if we make a fire and put it on a fire, it tastes a little bit better. I mean, you try and eat raw fat. Yeah, people at gazpacho, whatever it's called, minced meat and cooked with lemon juice. It's chemically cooked, so it's technically raw, but you could eat that. But our ancestors didn't eat that. Our ancestors didn't eat that at all. So, I don't know. It'll depend on what route I go. I mean, if I look at the fruits, blueberries and strawberries are about the only things I can have, and raspberries. All other fruits are, well, you don't really want to have that because, it's crap. If you think about it, our ancestors hunted and gathered. Little berries here and there for some sugar, for a burst of energy. It's like a turbocharger with overboost. But if you run overboost all the time, what's going to happen to your turbocharger? Bye-bye blades. So if we get to that, I'm sure that could work for me, Steak for breakfast with folded eggs, avo, feta cheese. That could work for me. Maybe some blueberries for dessert with some yogurt. I mean, I always used to have my breakfast with yogurt. Salt and pepper in the yogurt, some flavor, make it savory. Plain, full-fat yogurt. When I started looking at the tubs, I was like, geez, this one yogurt's got emulsifiers and solidifiers, and this one doesn't, and try and went for the one that, had less crap in it. So ultimately, yes, you shouldn't even be having yogurt. Dairies as well, not on the green list. So no cheese, no milk. I mean, I don't want to get gross here, and maybe I should to scare the hell out of you, but you don't want to know what cow's milk is. You don't want to know what honey is. I don't consider myself someone that has a sweet tooth, but if you're going to give me a carrot cake, I'll chow it. If you give me a cake, I'll chow it. If you give me chocolate, I'll chow it. I don't need to. But it's funny, once I take that first bite, I want to eat the whole thing. And then usually I end up getting gout because there's purines in cocoa. I don't know, my throat is scratchy and phlegmy, and it's the last 2 days I've been having carbs. Freshly baked bread, but it's still that flour. You know? Today my tuna melt incorrectly took the wrong can out. It was tuna in vegetable oil. Oh, I'm feeling it now. You know? Did I eat wrong? Yes, I did, but uh, all I've been doing is eating, and I've lost 7 kilos. As I said, it's flattened out because I've now obviously introduced the walking, but I've still lost clothes sizes. You can see it. You can see it in my face. You can see it in my neck. You can see it on my arms, my legs. They're thinner. You know, the swelling and the subcutaneous fat is gone. Now you could improve that by exercising, because the more muscle mass you build, the faster your metabolism gets, the quicker you burn energy. This is where people make the mistake. The hungrier they get, so the more they're going to have non-nutritive crap like salads. Your body craves nutrition and you don't, because maybe you're on a salad diet, or you're a vegan or vegetarian or whatever it is. I'm going to have plant protein. You don't have a hell of a lot of plant protein to compare to the same amount of animal protein. And again, nothing tops beef, in my experience. Not even lamb. And besides the fact that lamb is twice the price, I think now it's on special, yes, but is it worth it? Maybe for a flavor change on special, go and buy your half a lamb, freeze it, portion it, great. Have beef and lamb, have a mixed grill. Make your own mixed grill, beef, lamb, chicken. You know, sausage should technically just be beef, fat, and spices. And some spices are nightshade spices. All these things you need to play with and try and work. And I guarantee you, just these small changes, you won't even need sauce. You won't even need ketchup, tomato sauce, mustard, all these things. I mean, the flavor you can get from just braising onion and chili. The other day I made just the normal braise for that beef. Eventually I went and bought some mushrooms, threw that in there. I was like, Jesus, this is like gourmet. But it was just the fat that added the flavor. And the fat is flavor. But again, don't make the mistake of having processed fats. People are having avocado oil and olive oil, and I don't firmly believe in that. Coconut oil, I don't believe in that. I've used it, and I'm sitting there and going, but a coconut is solid. If you crack it open, there's water, coconut water, which people process into coconut milk, and then you get coconut oil. But how much processing do you need to get to that tub of oil? If you eat these things, you can eventually taste, as you chew and you break it down, you can taste and feel the greasiness, the oiliness. That's natural. So do that. Have avo. Eat coconut. Have sunflower seeds. Granola is mostly made up of that. I mean, there's fats in peppercorns. Try and buy it as naturally occurring as possible, and palatable, and grind it yourself, process it yourself. That's what I say. People overcomplicate it. Yes, it is expensive ingredients, but you eat so much less, so you can actually get more. I mean, I used 50 rands beef mince, if I remember correctly, and about 30 rands fat. So it was about 2 to 3 kilos of fat that I threw in there with the fat that I already had, to make this massive pot of beef ragu. And I didn't have tomatoes, but I threw in peppers, chili, and beef fat that I'd already rendered into this pot. And I portioned out about 450 to 500 gram portions from it. And I ate from it. Everyone else ate from it. And I've still got 3 or 4 bowls in the freezer, which I'll go and defrost one now. I mean, I am happy eating the same thing every day. You know, everyone else in the house is a bit more concerned about that, and maybe they can't do it. I don't know, but I'll eat the same damn thing every day. A tray of eggs will be done in a week. A tray of 30, if not 3 days. When I used to buy trays, 5, 6, 7, stack them up. Eventually, I gave some of them away because there were more people in need. But I could do that. Boiled eggs every day, sorted. Blood sugar is regulated. I'm not hungry. Maybe I have, beef for that if I'm going to go for a walk, because I am taxing my muscles. I'm making it exercise. And eventually that's a different topic. That becomes routine. So now you have to change that up. That's the other thing that people mess up to a degree. They exercise and exercise and exercise, and they say, "Oh, I'm not seeing results anymore," because your body is not exercising anymore. Your body knows what's coming. You need to challenge your body. You need to shock the hell out of it. So I change. I do a workout strategy based on Body for Life, I think it is, if I remember correctly. I haven't bothered with the book. I just got the gist of it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to modify this to suit me. So every 4 weeks I would change that, but every week is different. So today, Monday and Friday is upper body, Wednesday is legs. Next week it's the inverse. Monday and Friday is legs, Wednesday is upper body. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday is 20 minutes of cardio. That's it. I used to be in the gym 4 to 5 hours a day. Today I'm training chest, tomorrow I'm training arms, Wednesday I'm training, we just worried with upper body. We didn't worry with legs. What do we need legs for? It's Friday, we're training arms. Pushing some insanely stupid weights when I got that down to 37 minutes for entire upper body. Chest, back, shoulders, triceps, biceps. Legs, 22 minutes. 22 minutes. Quads, hamstrings, calves. Done. 20 minutes of cardio. In the sort of this rate of, increasing levels for a few minutes, dropping, starting again, dropping, starting again. The last few minutes completely intense till you are murtu, for lack of a better word. And that's the reason why I lost 40 kilos in a month. There is no way you could compete with me. No way you could keep up. Guaranteed. And I may be older, but if I go and do it now, I can demonstrate that there is no way. I mean, there is a guy I'd love to train with because, he's Mr. Big Boy. I'll probably make him cry in the gym for that intensity level. I don't think anyone can compete with me on that. And I don't even need to use the weights. I'll give you baby weights and you will cry. I mean, I probably still remember all the exercises. It's like riding a bicycle. And, we'll see. I'm busy working on a deal with the gym for everyone to benefit. We'll see how that transpires next month, this month, next month, or into next year. Part of the bigger program, the bigger picture. But you don't need it. Like people, I never have time to walk. You've got a 15-minute tea break. Take a 7-minute walk, turn around, walk back. Put the kettle on boil, make your tea. Walk with your tea. People have excuses. It annoys me. My podcast this morning was about that exact thing. People, especially public servants, and excuses. I can't tolerate that. At all. But so yeah, I mean, 25 days in, you know what? I'm going to keep it up. I'm going to keep it up. And we see. Maybe I get to a point where, okay, once a month I'm going to do a food review. And I'm going to document how I feel after the fact. I mean, I would love to have a masala steak Gatsby right now. Maybe I will. But yeah, the simple things. Know your food. Know what you're eating. maybe deconstruct the food and see what it's made up of and take something out that has been said to be bad. I don't know. I want to put the link to the list. There's so many things I need to upload. I don't have the time. I need to make the time. But I mean, all my details are there. If you guys want to contact me, you're more than welcome to contact me and say, hey, Dom, I'm looking for this list. I'll send it to you. Dom, where's this picture you said you were going to post? I'll post it for you. Um, you know, this is very much my platform, so I will do with it as I please. And when it's time to engage, I'll engage. I mean, there are people engaging me already, and I appreciate it. So, let's see from there. But yeah, 25 days in, I can't complain. Let me go a little bit harder. See how November turns out. See a full month. I mean, I've already messed up today by having this tuna melts, but I was like, well, tuna, this cheese. Let me add some onion, chili, salt, pepper. Magic. If you missed it, it's on my status. You probably won't see it if you don't have me as a contact, and likewise if I don't have you as a contact. So we'll see. Maybe I'll post that to Instagram. I don't know how these platforms work completely or entirely. And quite honestly, there's a lot more important things that need to be done than me focusing on a platform. Maybe I'll get someone to do that and post the pictures and give them an instruction of how I want it, and hopefully that can be something that they can do. But yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to that beef ragu. Actually, should have gotten some tomatoes, made a smoothie, and then reheated it, and mixed it through, and added some more flavors and mushrooms and things like that. Maybe I'll do it the next round. But yeah, 50 rands mince. And fatty mince on top of that. Not even steak mince, just normal lean mince. A lot of fat, a lot of onion. As one of my subscribers said, add more onion. I was like, with the greatest of pleasure. There you go. I should have added garlic and ginger. I did not do that. We'll see. I don't often cook, but sometimes when I was like, okay, well, I'm tired of chef stuff now. Let me make something that I'm going to have because I know no one else is going to eat it. And let's see how it goes. Because like I said, I see the matrix of calories. I don't see foods really anymore. I look at it and I go, well, that's going to give me X amount of calories. I'm going to be hungry again in a few hours. And I mean, I'm an estimator, and it works to the T. I mean, 450 grams of technically fatty mince, call it 100 grams, or let's be fair, 150 grams of it is meat, 300 grams of it is fat. That's already 2,700 calories in just the fat alone. Done for the day. I mean, when I went from last eating at 4 or 5 o'clock to the next afternoon, proves the point. You know? That really proves the point. That's why I need to figure out, how am I going to be on this carnivore diet? I need to get the fattiest cuts of meat and eat that and drink the gravy that's left over in the pot, because that's going to be rendered fat. And nothing seems to come close to this beef ragu, spaghetti bolognese, technically without the spaghetti. I mean, I'll find those pictures where I made burgers with what did not look appetizing at all. Call it 300 grams of beef and 600 grams of fat. Normally the ratio is, people say, oh yeah, 60-40, 60% meat, maximum 40% fat. I went 60% fat, 30% meat. It came out meaty because all the fat melted out, and what was left inside made it so juicy. And I had a whole bunch of gravy in the pan to have it with. Magic. Poured it over vegetables. Now I need to consider and figure out which vegetables. But it is what it is. We're always learning. So let me try and figure that out. I still haven't formulated a full shopping list. Just eggs, beef, cheese. That's been it. So I don't know. I'm going to try and also cut that dairy out and see. If I'm happy with the cheese because it adds this nice flavor to it. I could go with some cucumber for some crunch. Sorted. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been, what, an hour and almost 15 minutes. Not too long, not too short. I'll see you next week. Let's see what the first week of November holds. Sorry, bye. I'm probably not going to have acne this weekend. We'll see how that goes. We'll see. And then we'll see the changes for next week. Because that's what I've been doing. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Or it's been acne for the last 3 weeks. And I think at one Monday it was fish and chips. I think the 21st. It was fish and chips. I was like, I've sorted something major out today. Fish and chips it is to celebrate. Biggest mistake. I felt her sape the next morning and the morning after that. So yeah. I have all the information. I should just take my own advice. I've been saying that since 2001. And I was just exercising and going the completely wrong mainstream route of supplements and high protein and, you know, building muscle mass and actually just complete crap. So we'll see if I can build it naturally, but not this insane, excessive type of muscle mass again. Muscle mass that adds value. Pure power and strength, but agility as well. To be interesting. Maybe I end up with, a recipe book. But yeah, the way I look at things are very different to the way other people look at it. We'll see what happens November. But have a good evening, guys. If you are into the Carnival Worldwide in Motorsport, you are in for a surprise because that is now private. So you need to get in touch with me and let me know what your email address is if you want to be included in that stream. I'm not going to ask people to register anymore and to get their VIP codes. I'm giving that away. So yeah, enjoy, and hopefully I engage with you on Sunday. If not, I'll see you next week Friday. Cheerio.